Alright, welcome to Unit 2. This is Unit 2, Lesson 1, where we're going to get into some graphing and all that good stuff that we associate with algebra. You can see the objectives for this lesson. We are going to graph linear functions, and we will write equations of parallel and perpendicular lines. We're also going to mix in there some discussion on what function notation is exactly. And I just skipped to the bottom. That is not exactly what I was trying to do. Alright. So let's start out here by graphing. You see I've already typed out our problem here. We want to graph f of x equals 2x and g of x equals 2x plus 3. Now, let me just point out here, function notation. F of x is the same thing as y. We're just calling y f of x. It's the function value of x. What we're saying is, when x is some number, what do we get for y? Well, we're going to call that the function value. And same thing with g of x. We can use any letter we want. G of x is function notation for y. It's the same thing as writing y equals 2x and y equals 2x plus 3. So don't get lost in the notation there. I don't want that to be confusing to you. Okay, so f of x equals 2x. Well, remember this lovely formula. Y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. So, our first equation is y equals 2x. Well, there's not anything being added on the end. I could write plus 0 if it helped, but it's really unnecessary. But this maybe gives you a visual aid to see, oh yeah, this line crosses the y-axis at 0. It has no y-intercept. So I would come over here on the graph and I'm going to make a point there at 0, 0. Well, then what's another point? Well, remember, this number, let me get my highlighter so that I don't make a mess here. Oh, well, why don't I just erase it? Undo that real quick. Okay, so far this is going really well, right? Okay, let's try that again with the highlighter. This number is my slope. The number in front of x is the slope of the line. So we can always think of that as 2 over 1. Any whole number can always be put over 1 to be a fraction. And also you should remember, hopefully, that slope, m, is equal to rise over run. Little review in here to make sure we're all on the same page. Okay, so what this is telling me is rise 2, run 1. In other words, if I come over here on my graph, I'm going to go up 1, 2, and right 1. And there's my next point. I could do that as many times as I wanted to get points on the graph. I could go up 2 more, right 1, and I'm going to get another point. I could go up 2, right 1, I'm going to get another point. Or I could go down 2 and left 1, and I'd get another point. Down 2, left 1. See, you could do that as many times as you want, and you're going to continue getting points on this line. And we'll all have to pretend that I drew a perfectly straight line there. I have no idea why it disconnected in the middle. Okay, there's our line, y equals 2x. Now, of course, you could have plotted that line by just choosing some values of x. You could have come over here and said, and done the table. I know people like doing the table. Right? Well, if x is 0, y is going to be 0. If x is 1, 2 times 1 is 2, so y is 2. You could have done that, and you would have gotten your points on the line. I have no idea why this thing does this to me. My line just disappeared on me. I can't explain it. I touch the screen, and things start disappearing. But you could have done it this way. You could have gotten some points and graphed it that way. Okay? Well, let's move on. We have another line to graph. Our other line was this one right here. G of x equals 2x plus 3. Well, now notice the difference here. The slope is still the same. The slope is 2, but the y-intercept is 3. So that tells me, let me graph this in green so that it stands out different. I'm going to start at 3 on the y-axis. So I'm going to go up to 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to make a point right there. And I have that point on my graph. And then I'm going to use that same slope. Remember, 2 over 1 is my slope. So I'm going to go up 2 and right 1, and that's going to give me another point right here. If I could do this again multiple times. Up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1, down 2, left 1. I could do this over and over again. And there's my line. There are both of those functions graphed. Remember, f of x equals 2x is the same as y equals 2x. No big deal there. Notice that these are parallel lines. They're never going to cross. What makes them parallel? The fact that they have the same slope. Right? They have the same slope but different y-intercepts. So g of x crosses the y-axis at positive 3. F of x crosses the y-axis at 0. But yet they have the same slope. So that makes them parallel. Okay, I think that you won't have too much problem graphing lines if you can just remember that y equals mx plus b. Now, not every line that you're ever given, not every equation will always be in that format to start with, but you can always get it into this format. All right, let's move on. Find the equation of the line through these 2 points. Okay, first of all, I got to know 2 things, right? Let's go back to the formula we know. Y equals mx plus b. This is what I'm looking for. I want the equation in, this is called slope-intercept form, where I have the slope and the y-intercept. Well, I need to figure those things out. Since I've been given 2 points, I can find the slope fairly simply. Slope formula, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. There's my formula to find the slope between any 2 points. Well, what are my y's and what are my x's? Remember that it's always x, comma, y. In any ordered pair, even if my... well, I don't know what I'm doing now. I'm pressing funky buttons while I attempt to write. I'm going to get this eventually. X, comma, y. Okay. So in each ordered pair, you've got an x first and then a y. So if I look at this particular pair, I have negative 5 minus 0 over, those are just my 2 y values. Now this is important. I have to go the same order. I have to put the x's in the same order I put the y's in. So since I put this negative 5 first, I'm going to have to also put this negative 4 first. Negative 4 minus 4. Well, what slope does that give me? That gives me a slope of negative 5 over negative 8. And we all remember that a negative over a negative is a positive. So this is equal to 5/8. So my slope is 5/8. That's great. I know that now. Okay. I'm halfway there. I know the slope. I know the m. I still don't know b. I need to know where does this line cross the y-axis. Well, I've got a couple of different ways I can do that. I think one way is quicker than the other. So let me just go ahead and introduce that to you. We've got this formula. And this is another formula of a line. Okay, y equals mx plus b was called slope-intercept form. This formula is called point-slope form because you're going to use a point, a specific point, an x1, y1, and you're going to use slope, m, point-slope form. Okay? So what's nice about this form is what we're going to be able to do is choose one of our points, either 4, 0, or negative 4, negative 5, and we're going to plug that point in. We're going to substitute it in for x1 and y1. We're going to substitute in the slope that we know, and we're going to solve it for y. We're going to get it into slope-intercept form. So let's do that. What I'm going to have to do is I am going to have to take this and not do that. I'm going to have to take this and move it down. I'm going to need a little bit more space. Okay. Let's see, let's switch colors here to make it stand out a little bit. So, I'm using this formula. I'm going to take, let's say, I'm just going to choose this first ordered pair. 4, 0, it's going to be a lot easier to work with. So what I'm going to have then is y minus y1, well y1 is 0 from the point I'm using, equals m, which is 5/8, we just figured that out, times x minus x1, and x1 is 4. Again, that 4 came from the ordered pair that I chose. Okay, so now what do we need to do? Well, we have y minus 0. That's convenient because that's just going to be y. So we have y equals, now all we have to do on the right is distribute the 5/8 and we're going to be done. 5/8 x minus, now think, what is 5/8 times 4? Let me come over here and show that math. We've got 5/8 times, now remember, any whole number can be put over 1, right? So it's 4/1, we're reducing, there's a 2, there's a 1, so what we get is 5 halves, 5/2. And why am I disconnected? I do not know. But I'm not going to worry about it right now. Okay, so after all of that, we've found the equation of the line through these 2 points, and it is y equals 5/8 x minus 5 halves. Hey, good news, I'm reconnected. Nobody knows what happened there, but whatever. Good thing I wasn't in the middle of something important, like, you know, notes. Nah, the internet doesn't affect the notes. Okay, moving right along. Now, obviously, I'm going to have to shift everything down now, since I shifted one of them down. Okay, this one's going to be a lot quicker, though. Find the equation of the horizontal line through 2, and that's supposed to be 2, 3, but here, let me, I'll just manually fix that right there. 2, 3, yeah, there you go, that was a comma the whole way, right? You all knew that, not a decimal point. Well, typos happen. Okay, so, think about a horizontal line. There's a horizontal line. What do we know about the slope of a horizontal line? If you know something about the slope, it makes your life a whole lot easier. Hopefully you remember the slope of any horizontal line is 0. It's flat. It's not rising or falling. It's perfectly flat, so it has 0 slope. Now, don't get that confused with a vertical line. A vertical line has undefined slope. But a horizontal line has a slope equal to 0. Okay, it has a slope, it's just equal to 0. Okay, so think about what's happening here. If I were to just draw a really rudimentary graph here, if I've got the point 2, 3, let's say that's about right here, there's the point 2, 3, and I have a horizontal line going through that point. Again, I have no idea why lines show up and then disappear. Okay, now you're going to have to use your imagination and pretend that that line actually goes through that point. See, I can fix that. There we go. That was going to bother me. Okay, so here's a horizontal line that goes through the point 2, 3. Well, let's think about what's the equation of this line. Well, if I'm using y equals mx plus b, if that's my formula, wow, that was some terrible handwriting there. I don't know what happened to me. But if that's my formula, well, I already know m is 0. So if this m right here is 0, that's going to wipe out that entire term. So I'm going to be left with y equals 0 plus b. Well, my plus sign got a little weird there. Having a bad stylus day. 0 plus b. Well, what is b? b is the y-intercept. Let's think about what could that be. Well, the line is horizontal. It goes through the point 2, 3. That means at this point right here, it's got a y value of 3. So at this point right here on the y-axis, its y value also must be 3. That tells you that b is 3. So in other words, This equation is just y equals 3. Now, in summary, I took a long time to say something really simple. If it's a horizontal line, all you have to do is, if they give you a point, all you got to do is say y equals whatever the y value of that point is. So in this case, they gave us the point 2, 3. The y value is 3. So we know, since the line is horizontal, that equation of that line is y equals 3. And that's really all there is to it for a horizontal line. Alright, now we get into the stuff that really makes us think a little bit. Remember earlier on the graph, I graphed two lines that were parallel. So think about, what does it mean for lines to be parallel? Well, what it means is they have the same slope. So, if I want the equation of the line through this point and parallel to this line, what that means is I need to figure out the slope of the line they're giving me. The easiest way to do that is to get it into slope-intercept form. So let's start there. Let's say 2x plus 3y equals -6, and I'm going to get this into slope-intercept form so that I can know what the slope is. So let me start by subtracting 2x. Remember, slope-intercept form means y is by itself. So now I have 3y equals -2x minus 6, because I moved that -2x over to the right side. Now, last step to get y by itself is I need to divide everything by 3. And this gives me the equation. I don't want to go sideways here, so let me again slide this down. This gives me the equation. Oh, yay, I love it when stuff disappears. There was a 3y up there. Y equals -2/3 x minus 2. 6 divided by 3 is 2, right? Okay, so what does this tell us? This tells us our slope. The only reason I had to do all that was interesting. Again, I really don't know why this thing is messing with me like this, but it is. It's trying to mess with me. The only reason we did all that was to figure out what the slope of the line was. Since our line is parallel to this line, its slope is the same. So the slope of our line then is -2/3. And now we're going to follow the same procedure we used before. We know the slope, we know a point, so I'm going to use point slope form. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Right? You with me? You with me? Of course you are. So what's my x1 and y1? Remember, it's this point that was given to me up here. It's 4, 4. So I'm going to say y minus 4 equals m, which is -2/3, times x minus 4. Again, x1 is 4 from the point above. Okay, let's distribute the -2/3. Y minus 4 equals -2/3 x plus, notice this is going to be a plus because I've got a -2/3 times a -4. That's going to be a positive 8/3. Oh wow, my 8. Oh my. Oh, it's always an adventure seeing what I'm going to draw on this thing. Okay, so here's what I have. Y minus 4 equals -2/3 x plus 8/3. Well, one step left. Add 4. Add 4 to get the y by itself. Add 4. Okay, so here I go. I'm going to have to move this down one more time. Let's see if I can do this time without erasing anything. No guarantees. Alright, so when I add 4, I've got y equals -2/3 x plus, what's an x, plus what? Well, let's think about this. 8/3 plus 4. Let me come over here and do this in a different color. 8/3 plus 4 over 1. Of course, we know when we're adding fractions, we must have a common denominator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and multiply by 3 on top and bottom of that. So what I really have is 8/3 plus 12/3. Hopefully you would agree that 12 over 3 is equal to 4, right? Of course you would. So when I add those, I have 20/3. So now coming back to my equation, I've added 8/3 plus 4, and I get 23rds. And there is my answer. This is the line that is parallel to the given line, the first line we started with. Let me see if I can scroll up and we can read it. There we go. Parallel to 2x plus 3y equals negative 6, and it passes through 4, 4. There's my solution. All right. Now, let's talk about perpendicular. We've done parallel. Now, what about perpendicular? Perpendicular is the one that usually gets people. If you'll recall, and if you don't remember, then let me put the rule down here for you for the first time. If you have a slope of a over b, the slope that is perpendicular to that is negative b over a. In other words, you flip the fraction and change the sign. So when we're working this problem now, notice that it's the exact same problem as the problem above it. A same line. The only difference is we're saying, well, now find the line that's perpendicular and goes through this point. So let's look at, we already did the work to figure out the slope. We know that the slope of this line right here is negative 2/3. We found that in the previous problem. So think, what slope is perpendicular to that? Well, if I take that fraction and flip it, I'm going to have negative 3/2. And then if I change the sign, it's going to be a positive 3/2. So this is the slope I want to work with. This slope is perpendicular to negative 2/3. Okay, so let me come back over here. Well, let me just add some space below. We'll just go down. So again, I'm going to come back to my different color. You know I like using different colors. It keeps everything festive. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So what's my x1, y1? It's this point right here, again, that was given to me, 4, 4. So I've got y minus 4 equals 3/2 is my m times x minus 4. Distribute the 3/2. Y minus 4 equals 3/2 x minus, what's 3/2 times 4? It is 6. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Hopefully you follow me there. Hey, look, my y disappeared. What a shocker. What a shocker that this thing would disappear. I have no idea. I really wish I could explain it, but I just can't. And one more step. To get y by itself, we add 4. Add 4. So I have y equals 3/2 x. Negative 6 plus 4 is a negative 2, and there is my equation that I was looking for. So that line is perpendicular to the given line and passes through the point 4, 4. Okay, that should have you set for Unit 1. If I left you baffled and confused, then feel free to contact me. I will answer any questions you have. And good luck on the assignment, and I will see you in the next video.